Hello everybody. So for 400 I decided to put together a video answering a bunch of your questions. Let's get started, shall we? Some Rainy Nights asks, did you upgrade your desolate shelter? No, it's as much of a piece of shite as ever. Winterlake 25 asks, what happened to the micronations? Well, I recall Sealand was offering shelter to some. I would believe he would have invited the other micronations first, since they were his friends and all. They could all be alive in the middle of the ocean right now, and I wouldn't be able to reach them because I have no transport. I can barely leave this shelter, actually. Anonymous asks, don't you think you should have a cool name for your pocket watch? What am I, Alfred? Not everything needs a cool name. It's just a time-traveling pocket watch. Let's leave it at that. Anonymous asks, does your magic work in the post-apocalyptic world? If so, does anything interfere and make it harder to work with? Well, magic is very life-based, and with not a lot of life around, it makes things a little difficult, but I can still manage it when necessary. Anonymous asks, what happens if your gas mask stops filtering properly and you can't repair it or find a new one? Well, not to name any names, but because of certain people's actions in World War I and II, I am rather well prepared. The difficulty was getting a hold of my supplies after Alfred died, because I'd been living with him in America for 20 years, and getting back to England was a little difficult. I'm now currently stuck on the island. I have a lot of extra filters, but in the case that it breaks and I don't have any extra filters, I do know a couple methods for momentary filtration devices. They don't last very long, but they work. Anonymous asks, what's your sex life like here? I'm all alone. What do you think? Anonymous asks, what are you most afraid of? At this point in time, I would have to say failing in my mission. I've put a good 5 years into this project. I'm finally coming close to finishing it, and I might actually be able to save everybody. If I fail, I don't know what I'd do. Anonymous asks, if you could go back and prevent the apocalypse somehow, would you? Well, that's what I'm working on now. That's what the whole pocket watch is about. I'm going back. I'm gonna stop this. I have to. Anonymous asks, your epidermis is... What are you, 10? Ask Mexico Hatalia asks, can you act like Doctor Who? It's my timey-wimey detector. Gives ding when there's stuff. Anonymous asks, what's the color of your toothbrush? Green. Boxes or briefs? That's none of your business. Favorite color? Blue. I'd have to say blue. Not for any specific reason. I just like blue. How's Flying Mint Bunny? Dead. Do you know how to braid hair? Yes I do. I have a little sister. Of course I know how to braid hair. Do you mind twerking for us? Why did you even bother asking? It's not happening. Is that gas mask comfortable? I'm not sure if it was necessarily comfortable. I can't quite remember anymore. But I've gotten used to the feeling, so yes, I would consider it comfortable. Anonymous asks, what is your favorite time of year? I could have to say summer. There's always a chance of the rain stopping in the summer. It's nice. Ask That Nerdy American Hero asks, have you actually tried waxing your eyebrows? We're not going to talk about that. Ask That Nerdy American Hero asks, how do you make your tea? I don't. Anonymous asks, what is more important to you, your morals or your dignity? I was brought up in a household where dignity was more important. But personally, I think morals are just as equally important. Ask That Nerdy American Hero asks, do you love me? I married you for 20 years, didn't I? Well, you'll find out about that later, right? Right. Spoilers. Anonymous asks, what do you regret most from the past? I spent too much time fighting, not enough time protecting others. Should have let Matthew defuse that bomb. Anonymous asks, if you had to sacrifice your life in order to get 2 more days with a loved one that you missed, would you? To be honest, I don't think I would. I'd rather try what I'm doing now. I'd rather go back and save everybody. Anonymous asks, dude, I got a question. What other languages can you speak? Alfred, is that you? Je parle français, ini de Dutch, un po de italiano, kiontekina nihonga, e español. Ask That Nerdy American Hero asks, Arthur, you're a wizard. I know. Ask That Nerdy American Hero asks, how did you meet Flying Mint Bunny? Well, I didn't have the best siblings in the world. I was abandoned in the forest as a child. I was very lost and scared, to be honest. And this green flying bunny comes up and helps me stop crying and leads me out of the forest. And I met France that day as well. Ask That Nerdy American Hero asks, so, Doctor Who, how come you like it so much? Is it because it's a British show or for some other reason? Well, the thing about Doctor Who is the real message is no matter who you are, you're important. You tie into the universe. No matter how insignificant you feel you are, you matter to someone. Ask That Nerdy American Hero asks, do you think Plushie was made accurately? Have you seen this thing? This is the most inaccurate thing ever. Look, my ears are orange. Ask That Nerdy American Hero asks, your punk era. Did you have your hair dyed green and a shitload of piercings? Bet you had a Union Jack bar for your tongue piercing, huh? Actually, it was a fleur-de-lis. Anonymous asks, what's the environment like after the apocalypse? Very dusty. Since a lot of buildings were at least partially made of cement, when they all crumbled, there was a lot of contaminants put into the air, which is the whole reason I wear the gas mask. Anonymous asks, what is one of the hardest decisions you had to make? That probably would have to be putting Alfred's clone out of his misery. I hadn't perfected the process yet, and so his genetic structure was starting to break down. I had to end it before it got too bad. Digistuck1412 asks, what kind of skills or lessons have you had to learn? Well, I was always one to enjoy antiquities over modern day items, but over the last 10 years or so I've had to figure out a lot of the more recently built devices. I had to build a better understanding of computers when I only really used them for email before. Ask Dragon Matthew asks, may I poke your eyebrows? They look like fluffy caterpillars. Anonymous asks, do you like anyone's cooking? Well, there's at least one dish to enjoy in every culture, but if I had to choose someone who has the best food overall, France. Anonymous asks, your thoughts on Alfred? I was married to him for 20 years. Take a wild guess.